Hey everybody, it's John Irwin here for Ravings of a Baseball Fan. Thank you for joining me for the first video blog that we have done ever, and we meaning me. So today I'm going to be giving you my top 10 tips for fantasy baseball, how to succeed in your league. But since I ramble on a little bit, today we're going to have tips 1 through 5, and then in a couple of days I'll post tips 6 through 10. So starting with tip number 1, always have a plan. Going into your draft, it's essential to have a plan. You're going to build your plan around your first round pick, and that's really going to set the tone for your entire draft. And people who know me really well know that I totally overdo baseball, and I generally have like 5 to 6 plans as far as fantasy goes. I say at the least have 3. Your first plan is going to be your optimistic plan. And with that, you're assuming that you're going to have either the first or second or even third pick. And so you're probably going to send your draft around going with Albert Pujols or Hanley Ramirez. They're generally the first 2 picks off the board, and they're generally the top 2 fantasy producers. Your next plan is going to be your more pessimistic view, and that's assuming you have either the 9th or 10th pick in the first round. So what you're going to look for here is probably a first baseman or outfielder. It's the deepest position as far as first round picks go. So you'll probably be going with a Miguel Cabrera or a Joey Votto or a Ryan Braun, Carlos Gonzalez, Josh Hamilton type guy. And then your third plan should be assuming you have a pick in the middle there. And with that kind of plan, you're probably going to target position scarcity. Generally, we see Chase Utley, Robinson Cano, Ryan Zimmerman, David Wright, Alex Rodriguez go in those middle rounds. And those are, second baseman and third baseman. And they're going to help you battle some of the weaker positions later on in the draft. So our second tip involves pitching, and that is don't draft a pitcher any sooner than the second round. Pitching is more volatile than any other position. There's a higher injury risk, and so it just seems silly to me to draft a guy with your number 1 pick who has those qualities. For an example, wouldn't you rather pick Hanley Ramirez in the first round and get Adam Wainwright on the second time through in the second round than pick Roy Halladay with your first round pick and then get Jimmy Rollins as your shortstop? It's just better to pick a position player in the first round. And pitching is also, it's deep. Each team has 5 starters. So, there's no reason to rush it. I don't even like drafting a pitcher in the second round. The only reason I would do that is if Roy Halladay or Felix Hernandez is on the board because they're the top 2 guys. The second part of that, though, is you should probably draft a pitcher by at least the 4th round because there are only so many aces. You're really looking here for those 200 inning, 200K guys who are going to have solid numbers, good win totals. Your aces, obviously, and they're going to be the ace of your team and your best starter, and you want to get at least one of these guys. And they generally go between the 3rd and 5th round. So what you're looking for here is Ubaldo Jimenez, Tim Lincecum, David Price, Adam Wainwright, CC Sabathia, those kind of reliable, big number guys. Tip number 3 is never, ever reach for a catcher. This year, Joe Mauer is going about the 2nd or 3rd round. Last year, he went in the 1st round, and he had a very disappointing season. With your catcher, you have a higher injury risk, and they're generally going to see 200 less plate appearances than any other position player. So you're not going to get as much production out of them. It's just a known fact in fantasy baseball. And catching's a lot more deeper than people think. I make it a rule of thumb to not draft a catcher before the 9th inning. And when you get back there, you have guys like Miguel Montero, Giovanni Soto. They're good catchers in those later rounds that you can take instead of going after Joe Mauer early on. So my number 4 pick is always be on the lookout for sleepers, always be targeting sleepers. They're always there. They're good to help you fill those second rotation spots on your team. Pitching is a big sleeper category. Sorry, big sleeper category, and sleepers also can include comeback players, guys who maybe had a rough year, injury year that you think are really going to bounce back. That would be your Matt Kemps of this year, your Justin Uptons, your 5 tool players with huge ceilings that struggled last year. And for an example of the power of a sleeper pick, last year I got Carlos Gonzalez in the 11th round, and he was dominant at the plate, put up triple crown like numbers, and he's a first round pick this year. So that shows you how good a sleeper can be. And another great thing about sleepers is you can use them to battle position scarcity. Second base and shortstop are a lot deeper than people think, kind of like catcher. And at third base this year, you've got Pedro Alvarez, you got Casey McGahee. At shortstop, you got Elvis Andrus, Alexi Ramirez, Stephen Drew. There are guys that you can get in the later rounds, and there's no reason to stretch for a maybe injury risk guy like Aramis Ramirez or an older guy like Michael Young when you can have a young sleeper who could give you really good potential and production. So the final tip today is to pay attention to September numbers and spring numbers. And what I'm talking about here is generally rookie call-ups in in September the season before, and spring training numbers. And what you're looking for here is really the fundamentals. With pitching, I look for WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched. And the reason I look at that is because ERA is really a matter of luck. Really, when it's a matter of luck, no matter how you look at it, but especially with young pitchers, and they could have a couple bad starts when they first get called up, and then once they get over their jitters, they settle in. They have some really good starts, but their ERA is still bloated, or maybe they just had bad luck. Maybe they gave up a couple too many home runs. So what you're looking for with pitchers is just a really good control of the strike zone, an ability to not only make hitters miss, but to avoid walks and avoid mistakes. Just a real good understanding of just how to pitch in the bigs. With hitting, you're looking for the same kind of fundamentals, and that's going to be on base percentage. Power does not form right away in the majors. It takes time. A guy could hit 10 home runs in the minors and have 40 home run potential after a couple seasons in the majors. It's just minor league seasons are shortened. Fastballs are thrown harder in the bigs, so they bounce off the bat harder and faster, and they go longer distances. So you need to look for on base percentage, guys having really good at bats, guys getting walks, just doing the basic little things that you see out of the top players. So I think that is it for today. Those are tips 1 through 5. I hope they help you out in your leagues, and I thank you guys for checking this video blog out, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you very much.